Hey, homeschool moms, welcome. I have a little cup of, okay, it's La Croix in a teacup, but welcome to a happy Mother's Day tea. I hope you can join us to chat today. I'm going to be chatting with Kelly from 90 Minute School Day. We're going to be talking about expectations and how we can, let's say, address them inside of ourselves when it comes to how we think about Mother's Day, the actual day.
Hey, how are
Hey,
you?
you. I've been learning this long enough that I know there's a space that I can speak, but nobody's hearing me.
Welcome. I can
Welcome.
hear you.
Good. That's excellent. That's very important. And I noticed that also there after the recording, there's often like a little lag time. So it always looks like somebody's
Yeah, I
talking
kind
over
of hate
someone.
that. I've noticed that too with lives. We're not talking over each other.
No, we're not.
It's good to see
It's so
you too.
lovely to
Happy
see
early
you.
Mother's Day.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you know that discussion when you said let's talk about expectations? I was like, that is really ideal because how many times I've heard various stories, I'll just say, in case anybody is actually live. I don't want to share the stories, but various stories where partners of said mother or children of said mother are like, I don't need to do that. You're not my mother, or, I don't know, it's just a Hallmark holiday, no big deal. And that might be so. Some of us may not be that invested in Mother's Day, but some of us may be a little surprised at our partners or our children's reactions. So this is
Yes,
a
it
great
is. And
topic.
I feel like life is all about communication and managing expectations in general, especially on like a loaded day like Mother's Day, which is loaded for so many people, mothers included.
Yes, there's so many possible narratives that we're challenged by. There's a quote that I have had on my fridge in a little card with a magnet for years. It was, there is not one perfect way to be a mother, but a million ways to be a good one. And it's always been my encouragement. So whether someone wishes you a Mother's Day, a happy Mother's Day or not, I wish you one. And I know there's millions of
Yes.
ways you're
And
doing
there's
it
millions of ways
great.
I'm not.
Spot on.
So that's part of motherhood, right?
Yeah, I know. We're keenly
But I
aware
think
of those. Yes.
by and large, most of us, and I'm speaking for the most of us, we're trying our very best and we're failing every day. And the fact that we pick up and we try again tomorrow makes it a special day to honor those
Yeah.
moms in our lives, whether they're biological or not, whether they're a teacher that's like a mom to us, maybe a coworker, someone down the street, or
Yeah.
our moms.
Yeah. So beautiful. So before we jump right in, because I know both you and I could just immediately go, I did. But I would love for everybody to be introduced to you if they haven't met you already, and also your reason for
Okay.
coming to homeschooling in the
Well,
first
hi
place.
everyone. My name is Kelly Edwards, and I'm here on Instagram at 90 Minute School Day. And I love being a mom. I love homeschooling, and I'm super passionate about helping parents, and most of the homeschoolers are moms, and just creating a homeschool journey that is typical to your family, and we're not looking at anyone else. And so that's a little bit about what I do. I have 3 children. All of them are foster adopted. And so I feel like I've walked many paths myself personally with Mother's Day. But my children are 15, 8, and 5. And I'm mom. I've played mom to other people's children, including now my children who aren't living with me. And so, yeah, I think this is a great topic, and I'm excited to be here. And I like to say, there's no mother without others. Like moms think of others. And so thank you, Teresa, for honoring the mother right now and with what you do.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah. Someone said something about me being a homeschool mom caretaker. And I'm like, well, caretaker at the end of the days or like throughout the time. But I'm, for people that don't know me, I'm Teresa, and I am a homeschool mom turned life coach. So my youngest is 14, my oldest is 22, and I'm working myself out of a
Yay.
job here, which is really weird. good thing, but it is also a
Mhm.
heartstrings tugged all over the place, and really different experience. Not one I expected to experience. Not sure if I expected they'd always stay little, but
It goes by
probably.
too fast.
So it does go fast, except for
Then
the
you want to
first
go
5 years.
back.
Yes. And certain days. Yeah. So what have you been learning about your kids this
Oh,
year?
that's a good question. I I'm always learning things, and then I realize I already knew those things. I don't know if that's just me, but whenever I look back at
Really?
videos or pictures, especially my youngest, she really likes to look at pictures from when she was 3. Right now, it's always when I was 3, and she's 5. Um, and it's kind of seeing who they are, always who they are. They're just, I'm getting to know more of who they are because of language and just the luxury of being able to be at home with them. I'm a working at home mom. And I would say that my oldest is really becoming more independent and more confident in her own abilities. Watching that emerge as she's 15 and really gaining some important life skills. She's quite the birder. She's very interested in wildlife. And then my 8-year-old is the builder. She always has been. If there's a contractor anywhere in her sightline, she's out peppering them with questions. And then my little one is a nurturer, and she's a storyteller. So that's kind of a roundup on my kids.
Oh, I love that. And I saw that your
Yeah,
daughter's learning to
yes,
drive,
I
your
took her
oldest
out for
daughter.
her first drive as the getaway driver for May Day. I was like, because I'm always looking for like ways. I love families that are super intentional, and we strive to be one. And that do like
Yeah.
one special day a week or a month or every day of their birthday and all these things. And I've tried a lot of that, and for me, I can't keep up with it. It just stresses me out. And so like I look for moments that I can see. And so on Monday we're doing our
Yeah.
Mayday baskets,
Mm-hmm.
and she's done this annually, and we give them to the neighbors, hang them on doors, and you run because it's supposed to be anonymous. And so it's a fun risk taking for all ages because they get to like knock ding dong ditch and like take off. But then this year I was like, okay, maybe I could amp the risk factor because like, she is 15. She's been doing this since she's little. And I was like, I handed her the keys. I'm like, do you want to be the getaway driver? And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, you want to drive the car? And she was like, and so that was her first time driving. So she went on a 3-block tour, driving her sisters as they knocked and jumped in the car. And we weren't a fast getaway driver, but it was that thrill of her being on the road that I think made her first time driving really special. So it's kind of like nabbing those moments and seizing the day.
Oh, yeah. That is actually kind of a terrifying phase. Your child learning to drive, because then you're like, take a breath. No, they only hit the curb. It's okay. Or they only hit the bumper. No, it's okay. It's a kind of a nerve-wracking time. Let
Yeah,
go of
it is.
control of what's going
And
on
for
with your
me,
kids.
like looking back, it's kind of spontaneous, and I hadn't really thought it through all the way, which is kind of how I roll sometimes. But thinking about it, like I don't know how you were taught to drive, but like my dad took me out in this big empty parking lot, and he explained everything. And by the time we got around to doing it, I was really like psyched out. And this was just like, we had somewhere to go. We had to go to this person's house so her sisters could bail out, knock on the door, and jump back in the car. And so I think that actually helped her because then she was paying a lot of attention because she was having to employ these statistics and not statistics, techniques in real time, going on the road, so.
And
Yeah.
no insurance claims. We're good. We're good. Okay, beautiful. Lovely start. Learning about, I was going to ask you next what you're learning about your kids or learning about their learning, but you're actually kind of touching on that.
Yeah, we learn by living. That's where we've kind of settled, and we're very happy there. That's what the 90-minute school day is about. We've done the whole like, let's sit down and open up this book and turn to page 72, and we're done. We're done with that.
Done with that. Yeah. Yeah, I know. That the part for me that I'm all about learning, do it whatever way works. That's fine. But the thing that I saw was that gradually that wasn't working, and it was so unnecessary. If I just gave them more space and opportunity, they just did it anyways. And so I remember having this moment with one of my girls that, okay, you have to finish this writing project, and it was prescribed by me, and the topic was prescribed by me, and all the things. And then when she left, when she was done, finally done, and it was kind of excruciating going through the process, and honestly probably more for her than me. And by the time she left, she goes upstairs and she writes. She's deciding to write her story. So it was such a moment for me where I realized, well, we can let go of control there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you and what you've been learning about you this year?
What have I been learning about me? I mean, I think I'm always learning to let go in different ways, and I'm learning to release. That was my word of the year for last year, and it's hard. You know, we're always having to. I'm very big. Okay, here we go. This is what I'm learning this year. I'm very big on continuing to push myself into places that make me uncomfortable. And so the older I get, the more I find I'm going deeper and farther into those areas that make me uncomfortable for the purpose of growth. If we avoid uncomfortable situations, if we avoid pain, that's how we stay stuck. And so I want to be stuck. I want to keep moving and making progress. And even if I fail, at least I know, okay, that's something I'll try not to repeat.
Yeah, amen, sister. That is beautiful. And I think as you're Enneagram 1 too, right? So it's very capable to the task. You can see, and check boxes. I know. I've got a husband like that. And if he doesn't have there's always dishes. And he's one way to very helpful, maybe too helpful. Well, I love that you're focusing on growth. And someone had said recently something about, but I don't know that I want to go down that path. And I'm like, well, there's two options. It's going to be uncomfortable the way that this path was designed, or it's going to be uncomfortable because you're signing up for growth, and it's kind of uncomfortable flexing those muscles on repeat.
Yeah,
so
and you fall down, and it's humbling.
That's beautiful.
You know, you see yourself differently, and you can see, you know, parenting does that for you, right? You kind of all of a sudden you see this person that you didn't expect yourself to be, and now you've got to deal with that.
100%. Literally why I wrote the book. Yeah. To me, I wrote the book to me. Yeah. So the discussion that we had about expectations, or our expectations of Mother's Day, what thoughts or ideas would you like to share or discuss about how to be realistic about our expectations?
So I think, you know, kind of any kind of occasion and holiday is loaded with expectations, right? We think of, like, you know, winter holidays, or, you know, birthdays, or any other kind of holidays that come across our calendar. But then when the holiday is specifically about us, we're kind of like, we're due, right? Or maybe I'm just talking about myself. But as, you know, Mother's Day, I'm like, okay, hey guys, I've run all these other holidays, and now I don't want to have to run this holiday. And that might be my expectation. And then I realize that the other mothers might be expecting me to run Mother's Day for them in my life. Because they ran Mother's Day for their mothers when they were a mother. And so it's kind of this weird thing of, like, when you're currently mothering your children, Mother's Day oftentimes is not about you. And we are making sure that the grandmothers are getting cards homemade by the kids, which I still need to do. We are making sure that if our mothers or the mothers in our lives are nearby, that we might be taking them out for breakfast, or if we can't get the reservation, then we're making the breakfast. And then we're kind of in the hubbub just expecting our spouse or the father of our children or whomever, our children, to clue in with all the ads that they see to remember us. And then we get the frantic, like, note on, you know, lined 3-hole punch letters, not even a card, and it's like, oh hey, happy Mother's Day.
Yes, yeah, and actually asking ourselves, what's important to me? Like, what is actually important to me, and how can I go about direct and just asking? Because I think there's certain people that we do need to ask. Like, I can remember one story where one friend didn't want to discuss it with her partner because she didn't feel like she would be really receiving the thing or the gift or the card or the whatever if he was told. This is like marriage discussion, really, or discussion, because this reality is you have to just needs,
Yeah.
state, declare it. This
Or
is
it's
important
not.
to me.
Maybe it isn't
And
important. And so
welcome.
like, don't stress yourself out.
Maybe you're probably not
Maybe.
watching this right now then. Yeah, the reality is you're not going to say it out loud and people might not actually understand that it's important. You know, I don't know if this is the case for you because I'm married to a one-way like you. And I'm talking Enneagram people. Sorry. This is like breathing, living, breathing for me, thinking that realm. But as a one wing too, you're more focused on doing tasks and doing school. Is that you also? Like, because there's a love language discussion here.
Yeah.
And
I think for me, I'm very, because I'm a one wing too. So I'm very aware of how that person is intending things. And I'm very empathetic. Just that might just be my
yeah,
personality. So when my expectations aren't met, I get it. But my problem is I had expectations. And so it's about like dealing with what's going on inside of me that I wasn't prepared to deal with, that now I'm having to deal with in the moment, and perhaps there's other people involved, or I can't process right now because the kids or whatever's happening. And then I get to the end of the day and I'm just like, whoa, I don't feel good about what happened today. And I need to process that. So I don't know if that's more of my Enneagram. I think you know more about it in that regard than I do, but that's how I have felt in the past. Having expectations and then not even knowing, because for a long time I was that mom who wanted to be a mom, and Mother's Day came and that was sort of painful, but I celebrated the moms I had in my life and was very happy to do that. And then when I was a foster mom but wasn't a mom, that was also difficult, because here I am wondering like, well, like how do I set up my expectations, and making sure that the children in my home are honoring their mom, and then I'm honoring my mom, and then it's also like, well, what's appropriate here? Do my children send no, they're my children now, but they were my foster children then, some of them, and so like, do they send cards, and so it gets kind of tricky, and so it takes a lot of intention and forethought, which I think has helped me looking back at having to process all this stuff kind of on the fly in these unusual or less than typical situations. But then to get to Mother's Day as a mom, I have these children are legally my children, and it's still loaded because I'm sharing the day with other moms. All of my children have another woman who gave birth to them, perhaps raised them for a part of the time. Are they in relationship with them? Do they not know them? I mean, there's just so many. So there's lots of things. So it's good for me, like, to kind of like clarify. I think it's really important for whoever's listening, whatever your situation is, whether you have one of the situations we've already mentioned, or maybe you have a complicated relationship with your mom, maybe you've lost your mother, maybe you've lost a child, maybe you're waiting to become a mom, maybe it's all of these things. It's important, I think, for you to know like who you are, like remind yourself who you are, and then like ask yourself, what do you need this Mother's Day, and what are you expecting? And really get honest with yourself. No one else has to know. Like, type it in a journal somewhere, or like write it down, or just admit it, but figure out how you feel before Mother's Day if you can.
Yeah, before Mother's Day, that's the key. And you know, that I've had first, the one that I started when I was discussing love languages is, if you're expecting your partner or your mom or whoever, somebody to give you something, your kids to give you something for Mother's Day, or to do something for Mother's Day, or to make breakfast, dinner, and lunch, which I would love. Kids, are you watching? I might be. But if that's the case, just convey that, just share that. What you value, though, might be not what your kids value, or what your partner values. So that might be words for words of affirmation for you. That's why I was asking about Enneagram 1 wing 2, because that's my husband.
No, I'm words.
Do something nice
tell
for
me
me.
That I'm great and I'm good.
You are great. So now you're happy. And then the other thing is, how do you process when you are disappointed and your expectations were dashed? Then what do you do with that when you are with yourself?
For me, are you asking me personally? So for me, because I've had a few of these Mother's Day, I'm like, okay, I'm going to postmortem this. I'm going to after action. And then how can I set myself up better next year? How can I set my family up better? They're not trying to not appreciate me. My partner is not trying. You know, the mothers in my life are not trying to like take away, but they're also have their expectations. And so where I've landed is like I kind of figure out what I know who I am, I know what I need, and I know what my expectations are. So for like this year, I've communicated to my husband that we're taking our youngest to New York City to see the Titanic exhibition there because she's super into it. And you know,
What?
it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun to go to New York City. So I'm like, happy Mother's Day to me and also to her to go to this trip, right? So it's letting my husband know, like, I don't have any expectations on Sunday. I'm happy with whatever. And then I have to be truly okay with whatever. If it's nothing, if it's cards, if it's breakfast, if, you know, and then I have to be truly be okay. And I am. There's been times in the past where it's been very difficult for lots of different reasons. And I've just been like, hey, I'm opting out. I think I shared this with you. Like, I've just been like, this Mother's Day, I'm out. I need to be away. And that's okay. If you don't want to be around your family on Mother's Day, that doesn't make you a bad mom.
No, I can remember one year where I'm like, okay, I can't say it out loud, but I really would like just
a hotel room by yourself. That's what I want for Mother's Day.
Yes, it really was. That was. I think it's actually totally fair that we can also say, hey, honey, would you make me breakfast in bed and have the kids make some, I don't know, cards or something, or make something creative. Your kids are so creative, but come up with a creative nature thing or something, and then bring that to me. Because, and this is what I saw with a friend of mine once upon a time, is that she assumed that she couldn't ask. And I think that we can. Now, if you go and say, I'd like something in a Tiffany blue box every Mother's Day.
You have to be okay, not gonna ask.
But yeah, exactly. By the way, most people, I think, homeschool families are probably not thinking in Tiffany blue box for Mother's Day, or really most days. But I do think that we can ask, and I think it serves sometimes to just lay it out on the table.
And you know, sometimes it's just like one of my favorite things to ask for Mother's Day is just like, I want to take my kids to the nursery and like we pick out the plants for the pots and then we plant the pots on the patio. I love gardening. They like going with me. It's fun for everyone. And then I don't feel guilty. I don't know if it's just me, but I don't feel guilty about spending the family resources because it's a gift. And I'm solving all the problems. Like no one has to go out and try to find something for me. Like I just really want pretty flowers in pots on my patio.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I always do that. That's my given. This is my one day of the year where we can all go to the greenhouse, but we can also have tea outside, like a nice, lovely Mother's Day tea. I do that. And actually is taking my son the day after for a trip down to Yellowstone. We have animals, so we can't always just go as a family anymore, which is interesting, very different. But so he's taking him to Yellowstone National Park. And I said, oh, just go on Mother's Day. And my husband is like, that's not.
And why does he know this, Teresa? Why does he know this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can't say that I remember a specific moment, but why not? We've been married 25 years. So no, this doesn't work for me. Although I'm not the kind of person to be direct. You'd think I would be. You think I can be sad
he has
something.
Observed
you know,
that this is not how you would like to be honored. So good for him.
Yeah, he knows that even if I say, no, it's fine, go.
And I think
no.
I think some of our partners need to just be, they just need to be clued in. Like some people are very observant and aware, and that's not a reflection of how they feel about us. It's not personal. It's just we all have strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes that's just a weakness that person has, and that doesn't reflect how they feel. And then, you know, if you're having struggles in relationships, it's even more helpful to kind of lay out expectations. And if you're having struggles in your relationship with your children or with your partner or with your mom, then that would be one of those times where I would encourage someone to just be like, you decide yourself what is going to work for you. And you make sure that that is going to happen, not to malign anyone else, not to ruin anyone else's day, but you need to put healthy boundaries to protect your space so that you don't get yourself dragged into something that you don't need to be dragged into.
Yes, yes, I'm totally with you. Campfires, coffee, motherhood. My husband wants direct orders. Don't
Yeah.
beat around the bush. That's also my husband. But that's because over the course of time, he's realized, wait, I asked your expectations, but I didn't know I did. So yeah, we hit it directly, which makes it a little less unfun at times because we're very direct about you don't need to buy me a gift, or would can we invest the money in this thing instead
Yeah,
of
and if you like
whatever.
I love
So going
surprises.
really
And if I want to be surprised, then I need to kind of like at least give some direction to it. Like I would love to be surprised by being taken out to a restaurant. I've made the mistake of being like, I want to be surprised. And then I had like an expectation in my head of like out and my husband is like really good about this stuff usually. And then it was just like I had a vision and what was delivered was a surprise and it was thoughtful and it was not anything that I was excited about.
no,
And that's okay. That's
yeah,
not on him. That's on me.
yeah. It's a difference in expectations or needs because I remember one of the first maybe the second or third birthday for my husband. It was a significant one, 30, so young. I'm about to turn 50, so it feels like very, very. But now he was turning 30, and I thought, I am going to bring a huge thing of donuts to his office, and everybody's going to celebrate with him and make it a big deal. He was mortified. Not, please no, I
Yeah.
don't even have a birthday. Is kind
Know
of
your audience. And and that's what I was talking about. Like you have to know yourself. You have to know what you want. And you have to communicate that in a way that you can get that need met. And then evaluate like maybe it's not a need, maybe it's just a want. And how realistic is that want with where your family is, with where your spouse is, with where your children is at this point in your motherhood journey. That want may need to like have a different season, or you might have to lower or adjust your expectations. Yeah, I think it's really important that whole like understand your needs, understand your expectations, and adjust ahead of time, and then kind of understand like day of you can redeem it and you can learn from it, and you'll have other Mother's Days. And it's about sometimes the best thing you can do is do something for someone else. I know that one Mother's Day in particular, a lot of moms in my neighborhood were on my heart. They had different things going on, and I just felt like, hey, I'm going to drop off something for these moms because I feel like it's going to be a hard day for them. And so I dropped off just a little something for them. That's not to applaud me, but it's kind of like, hey, if you're struggling too, maybe turn outwards and make someone else who this might be a difficult holiday for, because that kind of gives them something, but it gives you something too.
Yeah. And you could always do something that I am not going to say I do this ever, but maybe I put something in my Christmas once a year that I know
all kinds of things I want in my Christmas stocking. Otherwise, it'll be empty.
My husband actually comes up with great ideas. But the last few years, I realized I really got to stop doing that because he's got some great stuff in there. But I'm like, oh, well, just throw that in there. And everybody's like, oh, look what mom got from her stocking.
Them, right? Like, it's like, hey, I really like this lotion that keeps showing up in my stocking every year. Yeah, my husband and I, we had that going on for a couple of years. And then eventually I was like, let's just do this. I'll do your stocking, you do mine. And so that's where we've landed, where like I fill his, he fills mine, and then he has to be slick, right? About like, oh, how does Santa know? And he's not.
So not coincidentally, I was going to ask you 3 questions about your Mother's Day. Favorite treat. What would you say your favorite Mother's Day treat is? Or maybe the ideal one that you have in your mind, other than a trip to New York City. That's amazing.
A treat, like any kind of treat? Or are you thinking of like an edible treat?
Whatever you
I really like to just be outside with something lovely to eat, and it doesn't have to be anywhere other than like my own yard. Like I just like, if it's pretty, I just want to be outside and just have somebody serve me something that's yummy to eat.
Ditto, me too. And not too far. I put a lot of effort into it, but if you make it, I'm great. I'm whatever. If they're peanut butter, oat,
I need your husband's
even with
like,
banana.
this is what Teresa wants. Tell your friend to tell your husband.
No, even if it's that. I actually don't want that. And they know that. Like peanut butter and bananas weren't meant to mix. And I know that I'm going to lose a lot of followers now, but that's okay. I just don't like it. My husband and everyone in my family is a natural born monkey,
yeah,
apparently. They
I'm
love
with them. It. But I'm glad that I mean, everybody, my youngest does not like bananas.
No, I don't either. No, unless it's with chocolate. So what would you say your favorite activity is on Mother's Day then? Is that going to the greenhouse, having a picnic?
Yeah, I think I think actually for me it depends. Like I've had some really hard seasons with Mother's Day, and so in those seasons I want to be by myself, and I'm okay with that. And like the first time I wanted to be by myself for Mother's Day, I had carried a lot of shame about that because I was like, come on, you know, surely I'm not alone here. But yeah, so like this year, yeah, if it's pretty outside, I just want to be outside with my family this year. Is where I'd like to be.
Beautiful. Yeah, me too. Hope there's no monsoon. How about could give yourself,
I didn't hear
or maybe the one
it
that you're
broke up.
going to? A gift that you could give yourself, or
Yeah,
maybe one that
I'm
you're
going to
going
give
to.
myself some plants for my patio.
Love it. Ditto. Ditto. Me too. I love that. Thank you so much for joining me today. And anybody that hasn't signed up for or you're welcome to sign up for the giveaway. I have a giveaway for homeschool moms and their homeschool kids. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave as a thought?
No, just happy
close?
Mother's Day to all you moms. And no one appreciates moms on Mother's Day than other moms. I feel like the other moms get it right. So like maybe hang out with your girlfriends on Mother's Day, or you know, you can all protest together and go out to lunch together. But like, find a way to make sure that your expectations are met, and celebrate yourself and model for what you want. Because for me, I'm raising little girls, and I want them when they're moms one day to be able to have like a healthy relationship to the degree that you can with Mother's Day and those expectations. So.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Happy Mother's Day.
Very much appreciate it.
Teresa.
And happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll see you in the garden.